Hey, welcome back. Part two. Like I said, this time it's me again, and you're going to get the silky, sultry tones of Mr. Charlie Esser.
The Professor.
That's right.
Yes.
So we got a little bit of a grab bag here. The first ones come from Well, it's those same Streets of Poison issues, but it's the backup stories with Battlestar and U.S. Agent.
Yeah, and okay, and this, I'm just going to take these all
you can
as
take
one story, going from the stakeout to the triumphant reuniting.
Yeah.
And I guess we're even going to get to the Scarecrow at the end.
Yeah, that's in 3 and 3. Really, we'll get that.
Oh, I mean, we can, if you want, we can wait on that too. But there's just a lot going on here because there is just, so this is where we get really the establishment of the new U.S. Agent arc. And I realized, fun fact, one of the later issues that we're going to read takes place after West Coast Avengers 69.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm reviewing for episode 169 of Capes and Lunatics, as per the Mistress Hellfire. So, yes, so that's interesting. But as it stands, so when we open this up, and again, remembering that comic books, this is taking place over several months. So it's actually like a 6-month time period for we, the readers, that it all takes place in. So it's weird how it does seem to jump around a bit, especially when you're reading it in a stream. But we start off with U.S. Agent as a member in good standing with the West Coast Avengers. Mm-hmm. We see that there's a mysterious figure stalking West Coast Avengers compound, and he's waiting for someone to show. Finally, he does see, on a rocket cycle, as you travel in those days, U.S. Agent coming in, and he confronts him, and it is, in fact, Battlestar, longtime partner of John Walker. And it's interesting because they, of course, get into a fight because, not only just because he's, because essentially he is the U.S. agent, whomever he may be, is being very adamant with Battlestar that he is not the person he knows, John Walker. Mm-hmm. And, and really it sets him off when he tells him his parents are dead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we know, but yeah, supposedly, yeah. I mean, U.S. agents, after his whole thing with as Cap, he was fake assassinated by the government so they could set him up as U.S. agent. But yeah, that's
yeah. So let me ask you this. Do we know this? Do we know that U.S. agent is John Walker?
Yeah, because he was fake assassinated in 351. That kind of looked real, but then in 354, I think it's that General Hayworth. Yeah, he calls together like Val Cooper and everyone. It's like, oh, here's our new guy, U.S. agent, and they're like, oh, he's wearing Steve Rogers' old black costume. And then they're like, I forget who, but someone's like, wait a minute, that's Walker,
Well, but do they confirm it there? So remember when Jackpot showed up?
Oh,
and we're like, oh, it's Mary Jane. It's Mary Jane. No, just someone who looks exactly like her and sounds exactly like her. Which, to this extent, this person, who we will later find out is actually a gentleman named Jack Daniels, not John Walker. Because
I know.
Yeah, they're creative. Jack Daniels does not look like John Walker that much. I mean, he looks like him, but
the face
not
is
really.
Yeah, the face is different and stuff. But like you said, you could have plastic surgery or something.
Well, yeah, but he sounds different. He looks different, and to the point where, honestly, when you're reading this, there's almost a quality where you're like, do you just really want this to be John Walker, Lamar?
Yeah.
I mean, is that really what this is? And they get into a fight, and eventually Iron Man. And that's actually a question I got to ask: is that James Rhodes in the Iron Man costume?
No, that's Tony Stark. But this is like after Armor Wars. So this is the point where he's like, telling everyone, oh, I'm not Tony Stark. I'm a new Iron Man. You remember?
Oh, okay. Well, no, I don't remember.
So he's that person. Yeah, so if he's not supposed to know certain things, it's like it's him trying to pretend he's not Tony Stark yet.
Okay, yeah, that's just who falls for that anymore? Oh, are you Tony Stark's bodyguard? Huh? Is that what you are? You're his bodyguard? Yeah. I would rather it was James Rhodes, but anyway.
Yeah.
As it plays out, I believe it's James Rhodes, or I believe it's Iron Man, and was it Hawkeye who shows up?
Wonder Man.
Wonder Man. Oh, yeah, you don't want to mess with Wonder Man. So Iron Man and Wonder Man show up and basically tell Lamar to step off, and Tristan's going to have a banana.
Mm-hmm.
And so he does. And then I love the Battlestar Mobile.
Yes.
And I got to love that the government gave him a battle. Like, I guess he's like, I don't know who's in charge of the Battlestar program. But he seems to have definitely gone off radar. He's not like on assignment with anyone, and he's got his own tricked out Battlestar mobile. So
that's what I was gonna say. Is he still on the payroll, or is he just like a free agent now?
That's a good question. Well, I think he's like on reserve hero duty. They're not, basically the commission doesn't have a use for him right now.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
and they're kind of focusing on Walker because really he was the Bucky. He was along for the ride, and they created him a new idea. And like, you know what, keep him. We may need a Battlestar later. I don't know.
Yeah, and they definitely don't want to pair him up with U.S. Agent because they don't want people to know that was John Walker. Yeah,
exactly. So they've got this extra. So I'm assuming he may actually be getting a check. And he probably is on call, but no one's calling him. That's why he's got the time to go track down John Walker in his own way. And then he calls his brother, who I believe was Leroy.
I think it was Leon.
Lamar and Leon. Oh, and they he tells them that Ethan is it Thurm?
Yeah,
Ethan Thurm, legendary Skrull Ethan Thurm.
Because he always changed. Yeah, he always looks different. But yeah,
every single time. It wasn't that long ago. He was fat with red hair and a mustache. Now he's skinny again with black hair and a blue suit. And then, like in the suit, I can understand, although the style changes dramatically too each time.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a little weird.
Yeah, no derby hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder if like Grunwald didn't give anyone any like specifics, so all the artists just like drew Thurm however they wanted. Because I mean, this is a different art. This is Mark Grunwald, Mark Bagley, one of my favorite artists. I mean, it's different than those who was the guy drawing all those Cap issues. So.
Well, I understand that, but still, it's like
I know.
It's a character design.
I know.
It's like I'm going to put Nick Fury's eye patch on the other side. I'm going to take away the gray streaks in his hair. It looks too much like he's, infected by parallax, all that kind of stuff that it just doesn't really, you got to have a consistency to your character design. You should know, is this character fat or thin? And I granted, I know that, Fabian over in the Avengers, he has that weight fluctuation a lot, though that was because of the meth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We all remember.
Yeah, but Ethan says, "Oh, it's a matter of national security," and Lamar gets here like, "What is it?" He's like, "Someone threatened me." He's like, "Wait a minute."
Yes, because he's a national treasure, and freaking Nicolas Cage is after him, and he has bees, so it's important. But as it turns out, this actually is a big deal because we get the power tools.
Yeah.
Lazy writing.
Guys just like with either hammers or buzz claws on their hands.
Here's what I'll say. I won't call it lazy writing. It was very much in the line of unlimited class wrestling characters and supervillains that you would just, it's like the Wrecking Crew.
Yes.
But it's like, what if we had like a really cheap knockoff Wrecking Crew and they had like screwdrivers and it's also a little weird with the hammer fists because at one point it looks like his fists are hammers, and then later you see that he has free hands too. So
yes,
that's a little weird. But anyway, so and basically Lamar, better fighter, handles himself with these three guys fairly well, but also he tells Ethan to run and he doesn't, and then Hammer hammer hands sort of gets him in the headlock, and they sort of take Lamar hostage. They put him in an elevator, which is actually a gas chamber, and they knock him out. Bum, bum, bum. Then he wakes up in like the adamantium restraints. Man, they got a lot of adamantium laying around in this city.
I know.
It's like, and we find out what the whole deal is, which is, well, first off, we meet the Red Zeppelin, of course.
Yeah, because someone's captured a bunch of unlimited class wrestlers.
Yeah, they've captured a bunch of the unlimited class wrestlers, and they make the that's okay. They make the point, when they bring in Battlestars, like, look, this guy isn't, good old Malice is back, and he's in a wheelchair.
Yes.
I don't remember when he got in a wheelchair.
There was a backup story between what we read in this. It was basically Vagabond and I forget, Malice and the Power Broker. Well, I think they tried to offer her strength. They wanted her to work for them or something. I don't think they even knew she was Vagabond, but yeah, they kind of tried to double cross her, and she kind of double crossed them. Yeah, that's where the Power Broker got over augmented, and Malice is in a wheelchair. Yes,
and Malice is in a wheelchair, and he's got his little Dr. Scott, blanket on his lap. So who knows what he's wearing underneath it? But
yeah, that's why they captured all these guys, so they Malice
they're performing the de-augmentation, and this is like. Man, this is a really dark story once that gets revealed, because basically the whole de-augmentation process is messed up.
Oh, yeah.
It is, it's like destroying their bodies. Red Zeppelin says, my bones are rubber, we don't have, there's nothing we can do. And it's amazing that it was so easily reversible. I'll be honest with you. That, I think, is the most shocking aspect of it. Once, but we'll get to that in a minute, because of course.
Well, I mean, he could do it, but he couldn't do it well. That's why they're using all these guinea pigs, before they tries it on the Power Broker. Remember that first?
No. What I'm talking about is at the end of it. At the end of it, because of course. So what happens is, Lamar has to fight Power Broker.
They de-augment him, and it actually, works. He's weak, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah, it works. It works properly. He gets that whole, every 40 issues of Cap where they de-augment him, and then he's got to remember that he's still a fighter, and he can do this all day. So that's but and they give him the big baggy clothes because apparently he wasn't 6'6" beforehand. I guess
Yes.
But anyway, but they de-augment him, and at first he's like, I'm too weak to move, but then he gets his strength back, because the thing is, if he was too weak to move, it really wouldn't have been a successful de-augmentation.
Yes.
Which is the thing. He actually would have to be completely functional for the de-augmentation to really work. And then, he manages to get out and eventually capture Malice, and because that's how he gets the other guys to back off. And then, who should arrive but Jack Daniels himself, superhero extraordinaire.
U.S. agent,
U.S. agent to, pull Lamar's bacon out of the fire. Yep. And it's exciting. It's you get the real wild berserker Cap, which is not cool on a lot of levels. I got to be honest with you.
I mean, Walker is outnumbered by all these guys are strength augmented like him too, though.
Yeah, but he is just wiping the floor with them, because he is still the U.S. agent, and because I'm U.S. agent, and he is beating the heck out of them. As then Lamar has to fight the Power Broker. Yep. Who is basically, he's like, I'm superhuman, except he's not really, because he's actually too muscle bound to move.
Well, yeah, he has to use an exoskeleton to actually move, and Lamar's like, wait a minute, I see he's moving this whole thing with, there's like a tongue box there. So
he's got a little mouth box, which how he got it back in his mouth, I don't even know. So, so he is able to knock it out, and then, gets helped by John Walker when he eventually gets back there. He gets re-augmented. Then
yeah, because he threatens to destroy the machine because he's like,
yeah.
oh, the power broker. He's like, you need this. He's like, I can live without my muscles.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
and
sorry.
then so yeah, then the power broker's like, what do you want? What do you want? And that's when the U.S. agent walks in. He's like, he wants his muscles back.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get it.
Give him his muscle back, and then we're gonna fix everybody else. And then the power broker's like, please, de-augment me. And then they don't, if I recall correctly. They smash the machine and arrest them.
Oh yeah, because they bring everyone else who they de-augmented back normal, and then there's like, power broker's like, please come on, just do me. And
yeah,
U.S. agent. Oh, we'd like to, but there's been an equipment malfunction. He's like, no, you wouldn't. And John Walker just like throws his shield through it.
Yeah, well, because he's not someone to be messed with. I mean, it would have been nice to de-augment him, if nothing else. But just because then also it'd be easier to arrest him then. And I assume they are arrested after this, correct? Are they taken into custody by anyone?
They don't show it, but I would assume.
I have to hope. You gotta hope that they don't just leave them. Okay, now best behaviors, you two. Don't go re-kidnapping a bunch of superheroes. Gods. But they do have, and then on the ride home, Walker and Daniels and Lamar have a heart-to-heart where he basically tells him that he is Jack Daniels, not Lamar. But then he eventually breaks him down and explains to him that I had to do this, and this is what I had to do. And my parents aren't dead. I write to them every day.
Yeah, he's like, I had to ask you. He's like, the one thing though is like, why did you say my parents are dead? They're not dead.
Yes, and he's like, And then he takes him to the graveyard, and that is the end of this arc.
First he's like, Lamar's like, they are dead. He's like, what? He's like, well, if they're alive, where are they at? He's like, his U.S. agent's like, I don't know. They're in witness protection, and
yeah.
Well, that's when Lamar's like, well, here, let me go visit your sister, and I'll ask her. And yeah, they go. Lamar goes to the sister because John's supposed to be dead. Yeah, and she tells him where the graveyard's at. Yeah.
Yep, and it's sad. It really is. Because they mess with his mind, man, which we get in the next arc.
Well, yeah. I mean, we weren't going to cover that, but yeah, he goes to the general who's behind the whole thing, and it's like, give me my memories back, and supposedly they give him his whole memories back, but like you said, they mess with his memory to make it seem like he asked for that, but yeah, he didn't ask for his parents.
Don't trust the government when they're rewriting your memories. So you're going to put my brain back the way you found it, right? Absolutely. It's sort of
you asked for us to mess with you.
Yes. Oh, goodness. But, yeah. Okay, so that was that arc. So what's the next story you want to talk about?
All right, the one from 383, the Scarecrow thing.
Okay. Well, see, but the Scarecrow does tie into that because there is this whole arc. That's the thing, is because we get in the previous story the secret origin of John Walker that we already knew, but we get like a little more depth. What his relationship with Hector and the other guy was. I'm getting the other guy's name now for some reason. Jerome, Hector and Jerome. About how it all goes badly, and the essential death of Hector and Jerome. And after he gets his mind back, he goes to seek after. Well, so this takes place after. I guess that was that at West Coast Avengers?
Yeah, I think it was like 60 or 61. Yeah, like they're fighting.
Actually, it might have been one of the 69s.
No, 69 was him versus Hawkeye.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, because it was one of Mortis versus.
Because that's the one. That's what 69 before he gets voted out. Remember?
Okay, yeah, that's right. So it must have been an Avengers, or that I had downloaded. That was a 69, which was a Mortis versus Kang. But anyway, because they had him fight the Legion of the Unliving.
And supposedly, Hector and Jerome were there, and he's like, "Oh, it must be a mistake. There were some probably in a coma or something."
Yes, and because again, memories aren't what they used to be. And then we get what is really the darkest and most tragic story I think you're ever going to get in a comic book that is rated E for everybody, where basically once he goes to confront the doctors where he was taken, the doctor's like, oh, yeah, I'll tell you about it. And then just gruesome detail explains what happened to Jerome and Hector, what happened to their bodies, that their eyes were burnt out, they lost their ears, they had to have laryngotomies, and
they basically laid there in constant pain. They couldn't do anything for themselves. Yeah. It's just,
that despite being superhumanly strong, they would never be able to care for themselves or even live a normal life, that even if their skin did heal, they would be horribly disfigured for the rest of their lives. And then they essentially took their own lives.
Oh, yeah, because I think the strength was their curse, because if they didn't have that augmented strength, they probably would have died.
Well, exactly.
Right away. Yeah.
And in this whole thing, and it's just, honestly, it's so... John Walker going through his mental gymnastics in this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I just wanted you to suffer. And if you felt that pain, well, I guess you got that suffering that I was living with. And then as it really starts to play out, he's like, but you really didn't, I didn't intend to have that happen. You probably didn't intend to get my parents killed. And he's just totally, man is a nut. Let's just be honest here.
Well, I'm just like, I know he was kind of like insane at that point, but what did you think was going to happen when you tied them to that oil tank and just, set it on fire?
Well, and he also says that he went back and pulled them out. Because if I could walk into the flames and bring it out, then you would have been okay. But honestly,
But yeah, I mean, this is dark. I mean, he literally digs up Hector, and they show him checking the dead body.
Yeah, he pulls out the dead body, he's having a hard time adjusting to it. It is a lot more than he had bargained for. And that's at once, it's, sorrow and its beauty. It's him dealing with the fact that, he has committed this crime and he doesn't know how to make it right. And he goes and he's wandering, trying to figure out his mind. And he comes to this scarecrow, a straw man, if you will, in a cornfield. And he's just having this whole existential crisis of faith, It's like, God's supposed to come to you in your hour of need. So here's my need. Give me something give me a hallucination.
Yeah. He's like, supposedly you speak to my sister, but you know.
And, but he actually really lays it down for himself. He's like, I'm too faithless to have a miracle, and I'm not imaginative enough to hallucinate. So, it's like, and it's just that feeling of absolute loneliness. And then he sees the lighter. This must be a sign from God that I should set myself on fire so that I can feel the pain they felt. Which, first of all, I don't think a lighter is going to do to you what an exploding oil tanker did to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not going to work, Johnny, but okay. But, of course, the lighter, because it was, a lighter that's been sitting in the middle of a cornfield for 20 years, it doesn't work.
I was going to say, and do you think it's going to be sitting there if it was actual, someone probably just threw it out. It don't work.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it could have been dropped there, but again, true. Like I said, it was underneath stuff, so it's obviously got dropped there years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like it was just dropped on top of something today.
Then he's all surprised it doesn't work, yeah.
Yes, but then he's like, so is that the sign that I'm not supposed to do it? And of course, as it turns out, he gets no answers, And that's what happens when you have an existential crisis, because you did something horrific to people and can't deal with the guilt of it because you didn't think of the consequences. You didn't think of the consequences, Jonathan. Jonathan Walker, Jack Daniels. It's just kind of silly, but yeah. So that's that. It's kind of sad,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any good story. I don't think that's the thing. All of the John Walker stories we're getting, it is so much that John Walker is just an unlikable person.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if Grunwald's just trying to illustrate that it's not everyone is Steve Rogers. Just because you put the suit and the shield don't mean you're going to be Steve Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of feel that there's maybe sort of that. Who was the Green Lantern with the bowl cut?
Oh, Guy Gardner.
Yeah, there's sort of this Guy Gardnering of it.
Yeah,
but I also think that because first off, of course, yes, he was intended to be the bad Captain America. You know,
Yeah.
it was intended to. He got picked because the Red Skull knew he would disgrace Captain America. But even still, he just seems like, you know, they say he was on drugs. Even he says, "Well, I was on drugs then, right?" And like, you know, so I couldn't have been in my own mind. You shouldn't have listened to me if I said do that. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you were on drugs. That's what it is. What's your excuse now?
But I do like this story too, just because, you know, it's Grunwald basically like, oh, you guys, you know, you're like your 90s grim and gritty superheroes. But here's what happens when, you know, these guys like, you know, blow people up or, you know.
Oh, yeah. And it's a great, honestly, it is a great dose of reality that I don't think you often get in these kinds of stories.
Especially not at this point in comics now.
Yeah, you know, this was like, oh yeah, you know, you think it's cool when he had the big explosion and everyone walked away. But then again, you know, it's the sort of thing like you always assume, oh, well, they're superhumans, so they would have just, you know, people walk out of explosions all the time.
Yeah, you know, they were laid up for 6 months, but then they were fine. Yeah, no.
You know, healing factors, and then just to really suggest that there is consequences and damages to being a superhero is really, really powerful stuff. And honestly, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend people go out there, read it. You know, you can find it on the Marvel Unlimited app. You know, you can probably find it in the long box at your local store. You know, and these are good issues. These are very good issues.
Oh yeah.
Especially this story of John Walker's, because everything else with John Walker, it's neat and it's good and it's a good setup story. I still love Battlestar. I still want more to be happening with Battlestar.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like Battlestar was like, he wasn't because he was never really the crazy guy.
Exactly.
Although you can argue that his entire time with the Bucks, that was just weird and crazy, and the whole anti-immigrant thing just did not make sense to me with Lamar at all.
I mean, you could say he's better than John Walker, because John Walker, it took him how many times and how many events to just like get through his head. You know, once Lamar got his education, he was just like, oh, I mean, they never come out and say it, but I kind of get that after he gets like his GED and everything, and you know, he's out there working for a while. I was like, oh my God, what was I doing?
Yeah, well, you know, and you know, stupid young kids, and that was also characters created by Ethan Thrum, the Skrull, you know, who is definitely evil. There we go. That's who the character is in Spider-Man right now. It's Ethan Thrum.
God.
It's some demon. I don't know. Also explains why his face changes. The whole mustache issue is a big deal for me, that he has the big mustache.
Yeah.
And then they just get rid of it. And it's like, and granted, yes, I know you can shave a mustache, but it's such a dramatic choice to make for the character. And then just to go off on that. And speaking of mustaches, do you want to talk about our which is actually, interestingly enough, Cap's first real one-in with the Watchdogs.
Yes, Captain America 3D5 and 3D6. And the first one, I guess the Watchdogs have finally made it to New York.
Yes, and they're blowing up. It's weird because it's one of these things where I guess they're finally in New York, but they also seem to be really well entrenched. They've got a ski lodge with a re-education camp, you know. It's like, really, here's what I'm going to say. Clearly, someone was funding these people because they have really fancy costumes.
Well, wasn't it stated in 350 that was the Red Skull?
Well, yeah, exactly. But you would think this would be a bigger concern for them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you realize, oh, yeah, these guys, I mean, granted, maybe don't see that cultural moral crusade storyline as that overwhelming of a threat. But then again, now they're kidnapping people and they're firebombing buildings and letting people die in them because the night watchman passed out drunk in a supply closet, which is a whole other thing. And we do see another glorious mustache, of Mike.
Yeah, because he was one of Steve Rogers' old neighbors. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, he was one of Steve Rogers' old neighbors.
Yeah, it was like back in like the 200s and issues and stuff. Yeah, like back when he lived in that apartment building. That's where he met Bernie Rosenthal. Yeah.
Well, because they had also mentioned that, because I thought they had mentioned that Bernie and Mike had been in college together.
Yeah, I guess they had been in college together, but then they were all living in that apartment building Steve Rogers had been living in. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the one that was managed by the Holocaust survivor.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and I love seeing Peggy in this.
Yes.
90s Peggy, still hot mom Peggy, but not senile dead Peggy that we would later get now.
Yeah, she wasn't like a super spy. She was like the Avengers communications officer or whatever.
Yeah, well, they have definitely changed the history since the movie, but that's okay. I can live with it.
Well, sliding time too. I mean, before she was Sharon's sister, and now she's the aunt.
Now she's great Aunt Peggy. Yes, and a great aunt she was. But man, and again, talk about girl in every port.
Oh yeah, because a few issues before, Bernie finally, she's done with school now. She's trying to get back in Steve's life, but he's dating Diamondback.
Yes, and although Diamondback's kind of on the run too, so it's sort of like but it is just this idea that Cap is like into Diamondback. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Diamondback is otherwise occupied. So it's an interesting little dynamic they got going on there, to say the least.
Yeah, because the Serpent Society put Diamondback on trial because they're like, "Oh, you're dating Captain America."
They're criminals. Is it against the rules to date?
I would.
Aren't they? Don't they like have not have rules? Isn't that kind of the idea?
Well, one of those issues they have it on trial, and I forget one of them's like, "Well, how even if we were cool with that, how we know you're not gonna like talk in your sleep or something?"
Yeah, but no, still, then then you just say, yeah, we can't work with you if you're going to be dating a cop. We can't work with you. It's like, I don't know what the real trial is here.
I think they were just worried that she knew too many of their secrets.
Yeah, well, that's true too. So I guess in that case, just kill her or something. I don't know. Which I guess
that's what they wanted to do. That's what they wanted to do.
Which is what they do later.
Haven't tried killing her yet? Yes, that's what they wanted, Charlie.
Anyway, yes, and that goes into the whole Modam and Superior arc, and
yes,
and then we get Free Spirit, I believe.
Yeah, after like 400, but yeah.
So anyway, but right now we got to deal with the fact that Bernie's sniffing around Steve, and Steve like leaves the picture of his Kirk, because again, Steve not gonna confront her, because for what it's worth, Steve maybe wants to keep the door open, in case.
But again, too, I don't think she's actively come out and said, "Oh, hey, I want to go out with you again." I think she basically just keeps showing up. I'm like, "Oh, hey, want to hang out?"
Yeah, it Cap's trying. What the problem is? Cap doesn't just want to be friends. Cap is just a horn dog, and if he's not doing you, he doesn't want to be your friend.
Well, remember too, they were engaged, and then she was just like, no, let's not do that. I'm going to college.
Yeah, which is fine. So
I'm just saying, I think he was hurt, so I think maybe
okay.
I don't think Steve Rogers would ever admit it to himself, and maybe he's just like feeling, okay, yeah, hey, good, look at me, I moved on.
Yes, but then he should just state, I've kind of moved on. Of course, then that gets into the whole complexity of that relationship. Oh, really? So where is this alleged girlfriend of yours? Canada. It doesn't work. She's staying at Paladin's apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but
Bernie.
So essentially.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. Bernie leaves and talks to Mike, and he basically confesses to her because like you said, the whole Night Watchman thing, dying when they torched that hip hop record label.
And I get the feeling, so he's a fireman and he's setting fires, which is that should have been his first clue that I shouldn't be here.
The Matt Murdock conundrum.
Yeah, Well, to be fair, because he's a defense attorney, and then he goes beats up criminals. Yeah, although technically those are two separate things. It's not like he would get them off and then beat them up just to beat them up.
Yeah, but I think the whole thing with Matt Murdock, it's as a lawyer, he takes an oath to uphold the law, but then he's out there dispensing vigilante justice.
Although there was a supervillain or superhero, or actually an anti-hero from the 40s called the Laughing Mask, who that was essentially his MO. He was a prosecutor. He would intentionally tank the case so the guy would walk free, and then he'd go kill them. So, for those who don't remember, comics used to be way darker and grittier.
And hey, look, remember when Rage and Sandman were reserve Avengers?
Yeah, that was before they found out Rage was 13, and Sandman decided, I'd rather just have Jules.
Well, no, I mean, I think it was like in '99 or something. There was like a Spider-Man issue. No, the wizard gets a hold of Sandman. It's like, oh no, I miss my friend, and he throws him in a magic contraption because I guess someone wanted Sandman to be evil again, and he's like, no, let me put your brain right again.
That's what it was.
It was the wizard. Yeah, your buddy the wizard.
Oh, the wizard. He missed his friends. You guys. We haven't hung out in so long.
Let me throw you in the retcon machine.
Yes, yeah. Well, I also like the fact that he basically decided to stop being a bad guy because Ben Grimm and him had a beer once. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, to be honest, I gotta think that that's not going to hold anyway.
Well, I think it was that, plus right before he met Ben Grimm, like him and Hydro Man got mixed up into this like weird creature like thing, and then
it's a hard life.
That messed with him. It was just like, ooh.
So Sandman is an Avenger.
Yes,
he probably still has some kind of like Avengers card somewhere that he can pull out if he needs to. Because Steve would always give him a second chance.
Yeah. But yeah,
but yeah, so that was good, and and Rage is being a whiny teenager. So how am I supposed to do the evasive maneuver if he has the sand in my eyes? Like if you know the maneuver, you should be able to do it
with your eyes closed.
And and to be fair, do you think the actual supervillain isn't going to throw sand in your eyes?
Exactly.
Trust me, it's like you're lucky you actually know what this guy's power set is. The next guy, you're not going to know what they can do or how they're going to approach you. So you have to be ready to make these kind of moves.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to recall what. So then,
Bernie calls Steve, and then he heads for Mike's apartment where the watchdogs are like looking to kill him, but he's not there.
Yep. Yeah, well, they're looking to get Mike because they think he's blabbing, and it's actually interesting because it's all a lot of no one actually does anything they didn't say they were going to do. Well, actually, Mike does blab, so the watchdogs are right. The Mike is the blabbermouth, but Bernie doesn't call the cops; she calls Cap because they want to do it more delicately, and then basically the watchdogs kidnap Bernie. Because they,
to get out of there, yeah.
And that classic, I'll shoot the hostage, which, as we all know, that was one thing you got to say for U.S. Agent. He wouldn't care. It's like, well, then you don't have a hostage, do you?
Yeah.
Which is an interesting take on it. It's like, well, if you shoot the hostage, then I am justified in killing you. So why don't you let the hostage go and surrender, and that way you don't get a murder rap too. But anyway, be nice if they got a little more psychological like that, But anyway, but they managed to get away, and Cap has to defuse the bomb, and Cap is getting way too sweaty when he's defusing that bomb.
Well, he's like, when it comes to bomb making, amateurs can be, more dangerous than guys who actually know what they're doing. He's like, hopefully, these guys are complete idiots.
Yeah. But like I said, it just seemed a little weird. Yeah. Oh, and was this the issue where we get the medical examination, which says, as it turns out, your super soldier serum is completely back? Or was that the issue before this?
I think it was the issue before. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the sad issue when.
Yeah, that's what me and Lil talked about during Streets of Poison. Yeah, because it's that whole thing. He's just like, I can be Cap without the serum, and then it's like a couple issues later, it's like, oh yeah, it's self-regenerating. It keeps coming.
Well, it makes sense. It would be in his marrow, so
That's what I told Lil. I mean, it's been cooking in there for 50 years. It's going to be in that body. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not it's not just in the blood, because he's probably gotten blood transfusions before.
Mm-hmm.
Man loses a lot of blood being a superhero and whatnot. But yeah, so no, I just thought it was very sad that they leave that one issue with you actually do see, and there's D-Man frozen in the ice.
Yes.
And then poor Jack Frost is stuck forever in the belly of the beast.
Yes, the worm. Yeah.
Yeah, but they did look for him at least and couldn't find him. So yeah. Anyway, but
yeah, we see. The Watchdogs take Bernie back to their lodge or whatever.
Yeah, the lodge, and they're gonna have her audit. When they were actually gonna let her go, and then they said, "Well, he knows Mike, and maybe he could be the bait for the trap for Mike."
Mm-hmm.
Which they then didn't even need, because Mike just goes up to Stu and says, "Hey, man, can I talk to you?"
I know.
Comedy of errors. Comedy of errors.
And then, Cap, while he's waiting for news, is working out in the gym, trying to work off some frustrations when U.S. Agent shows up.
Yeah, U.S. Agent comes in, and I mean, they say that the fourth panel is where he puts the tracker on Steve. I don't see that.
Yeah,
There's a little flare on the top of U.S. Agent's shield. I think that's what they meant that's supposed to be, but
they kind of show part of his hand on Steve's shoulder, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Maybe so that's what
or maybe it's the other hand, or we just
but then you think you'd notice the tracer on his back. It's
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little weird one, but anyway, it's okay.
Because U.S. Agent's like, I hear you have a lead on the Watchdogs. I went in, and Cap even knows. He's like, he's had run-ins with them. They're responsible for the death of his parents. I don't need to be babysitting powder keg. No.
Exactly. Although, as he later says, no, I'm different now. I'm a kinder, gentler berserker. Because you got to remember, this was the Bush years.
Mm-hmm.
The Bush years.
But no, he's like, I'm the leader of the Avengers. I say who goes on what mission, and that's when U.S. Agent's like, oh no, they kicked me out in issue 69, and Cap's like, dude, you really don't need to be here.
Although one thing I found was interesting in this is that the president is not George Bush. It's somebody named George Walton.
Oh.
If you look at the Avengers ID card, where it's got all the signatures, the presidential signature isn't George Bush. It's yeah. So I found that interesting. Just because they had just previously established that, yes, this was a Ronald Reagan presidency, then in the new one, they just put in a new name. I don't know.
Unless someone said something, be like, don't you be using real presidents anymore.
Yeah, maybe. The whole fangs on President Reagan was maybe a little bit too subtle for some people. But anyway... So they go to the hunting lodge for rich weirdos. They defeat the bad guys. They find Mike and Bernie, and then Mike confesses and does the right thing. And U.S. Agent breaks into, and he's going through the Watchdogs, but then he's like, no, I said I won't kill. I confess to that scarecrow. Yeah, thou shalt not kill. It's like, clearly this guy is not well.
Oh no, he's like, I may have promised not to kill, but I'll put you guys in a world of hurt.
Yeah. Isn't that how you got into this problem in the first place? I'll put you in a world of hurt. Now you'll know what I feel with pain. It's like, no, don't do that,
Oh, well, U.S. Agent, here at the end, U.S. Agent thinking, he put the bug on Cap's shield.
Yeah. Exactly, and you don't really see it. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
They say he does it in this panel, but you don't see that in the panel. So.
I know, you don't see it, but I mean, I could kind of see, maybe sneaking it on the shield because Cap wouldn't maybe feel it. And again, too, John Walker knows that shield, so it's like, hey, there's a little, Yeah,
there's a little divot right there. I can stick it right in there, no problem. Good old micro technology, better than a spider tracer.
Exactly.
And that's that issue. No resolution for Bernie. Mike had to shave his glorious mustache, and and that's that's the end of that story.
Well, I mean, the whole Bernie thing was ongoing, but then too, eventually Mike, Mike comes back, right?
Oh, he does?
Yes. He's all mad. He blames like Cap for ruining his life. He comes back, interestingly enough, as the new Super Patriot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I vaguely remember that. Yeah. But
that's when the super soldier serum started to fail Cap, and he had to wear that armor. And it was around that time,
yeah. I love when they brought the armor back in the final battle between old Captain America and the Superior Iron Man.
Yes,
and and then both those stories just ended without explanation.
Oh, well, yeah, they ran in the Secret Wars, and I guess Secret Wars like fixed Tony Stark, Superior Iron Man,
but they brought back old Cap, so they couldn't just fix Cap too. That would have been cool too. It's like, I guess, except they had to have continuity.
They had plans for Cap. Iron Man, they're just like, oh no, Bendis is taking over. Yeah, just send him back to status quo.
Yeah. I think Bendis might have had a lot more fun with Superior Iron Man,
Probably.
But what are you gonna do? So that was these issues.
Yes.
And they were, they're very good issues. Maybe I don't do them justice here, but they're very good issues. They deal with a lot of interesting things, a lot of introspective thought, a very, very, very Achilles in his tent kind of stories of men and women and gods and monsters dealing with what's going on in their heads and what it means to be a superhero or just some dude who decides to firebomb places because he doesn't like rap music. And I gotta say, the whole re-education camp stuff, that was really creepy.
Oh, yeah.
They got the shock collars on everybody, and, everyone's just being obedient. And it's like, you also get the Ilsa of the SS Watchdogs there. Watchdogs, Women's Auxiliary, because they're the ones in charge of re-education, which makes sense when you think about it, because it's like, well, we want that wholesomeness, and so we'll put them in sexy S&M gear and have them shock these people until they obey, because that's wholesome. Because really, people that are all like about wholesome, always very, very repressed.
You must think as we think.
Yes, exactly. Whoo, doggies. But yeah, very good issues. Very, I love this run of Cap. This was when I really got into Cap for a while, and I was reading Avengers on a regular basis. And back in the 90s, this was 1991. I was a junior in high school, so I could even drive to the comic book store myself. It was awesome.
Nice.
You never know power until you can drive to the comic book store by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And you can buy whatever you wanted. It was great. And so great stories. Thanks for bringing me in onto the Comicscapers, Philip.
Hey, no problem. I mean,
I'm available as you need.
I was going to say, if you want in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing the U.S. Agent's first miniseries. So,
okay, I will see if that's on Marvel Unlimited, and I'd be happy to join you again. Hopefully, the guy can calm his roll.
Yeah. All right, so everyone says send in your thoughts, and if you want more U.S. Agent in 2 weeks, that first miniseries, I think it's from 1993. It's like a 4-issue miniseries. U.S. Agent deals with a priest, so we get more introspection. But anyway, email us your thoughts on all this Cap stuff we've been talking, the upcoming stuff, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember to follow Comic Capers on Facebook, on Twitter. Follow all of our stuff. There's links to everything all in one place. That's Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And remember to support sponsors, Tweaked Audio, Hunt a Killer, Pod Life the book, now in digital and paperback. And when you go to buy all of that on Amazon, use the link for Southgate Media Group right down there in the show notes. Help us support this show, the network, and Rob Master Doom Southgate.
Make it rain, so says Master Doom.
Charlie Esser.
Well, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Moz and Poz once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter. Say live tweet the last two episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with the big 2-hour season finale coming soon at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Maz.
All right, everyone. Yes, thank you for joining us. Again, I'll slap this together with the one I did with Lilith. It's going to be a big episode, so thanks for joining us for all this cap fun. And again, next week, Wade's World. In 2 weeks, U.S. Agent miniseries.
Yay!
Yay! I don't know about Lilith, but I've been enjoying this trip through the 80s and 90s.
It's been fun. And more U.S. Agent to come.
That's right. All right. See you next time, folks.